Nathan and David, this is your second time at Sundance with a Sasquatch film. This time it's a feature. What is it about this material that just means so much to you?
Well, we've just always, since we were kids, we always loved Bigfoot and Sasquatch lore, particularly in terms of the way how it kind of represents kind of the gray area between human and animal behavior, and just all the humor and absurdity and poignancy that can kind of come from all of that.
And how did you pitch this to the cast? I mean, at what point did they get involved, and had you been having ongoing discussions for a long time?
Well, Jesse was the first to get involved. We've known him for over 15 years, I think, and so sent him the script, and it's very timid. I don't know, doing it because we just didn't know. We didn't know how he'd react, and I don't know. Maybe he can take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the top 5 greatest scripts I've read in my life. I mean, I really hope people can read it. It's so brilliant the way they take this very unusual, most likely like impossible to pull off premise, and then fill it with the funniest, sweetest, touching, kind of almost very human story you could possibly see. And the way it transcends the fact that these characters are not humans, and yet it still feels like relatable. It's just an absolute amazing feat.
And then it blends absurdist humor with, a bit of a message. There are some ecological undertones here. I mean, were there any particular messages that you were trying to convey in this very unique context?
Well, I mean, it is unavoidable if you're dealing with these creatures in their natural habitat that would be a part of it. But I think, I don't know. Yes, it's all there, but we're not like trying to force it out. It kind of speaks for itself, I think. And I'm speaking so vaguely.
I think it comes naturally with the territory.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
I mean, Riley, when you got the script, this is a film with no lines. You're unrecognizable. Like, it was, what was it about that spoke to you so much?
Or didn't speak to me. It was an amazing script, and it was so funny, and it's, like Jesse said, it's so touching and incredibly well written and hilarious. And I could tell by reading the direction that I would have a similar sensibility as them, and like I found the same things funny, and I think that's always really exciting. And I just really responded to it. And then, they also sent this like lookbook through too, with sort of like what the Sasquatch would look like and what the cinematography, how it would feel. And it was just really beautiful. And I just have never read anything like this in my life. So it was.
And, Christophe, there was a Sasquatch like boot camp that you guys did as well. What was that like? Basically training to be a Sasquatch.
It was pretty lazy. I don't know. It was boot camp.
It was like foot camp.
But,
yeah, it started out on. We had a couple Zoom calls where we were walking around our respective spaces and working on Sasquatch walking and lumbering and trying to find if we come across an object, what would a Sasquatch do with a certain object, and would it try to use it or do whatever. And then once we got together in person, it was just kind of raucous and crazy and fun. And it was we were just in an office essentially shoving food in our mouths and stealing food from each other. And but it was so fun and real. That I think that's the one thing that I loved so much about it, is it wasn't trying to be tongue-in-cheek. It's just such a real depiction of these creatures in their environment and the life and the trials and what they go through.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there's a lot of silliness in the script, but we were being sincere in our performances, and I think
I think that's what came across to me in the script too the most. Is it wasn't like breaking a fourth wall, or it wasn't tongue-in-cheek. It was just this is what it is, and this is our lens looking through everything on this family and this group.
But that was something crucial for us. We didn't want it to be just kind of this one-note gimmick. We wanted to be fully invested in the characters, as you would humans. We wanted to have a certain emotional depth, just so you can be invested for the duration of the film with it.
Absolutely. And you filmed in very difficult circumstances, right? It was extremely cold, and you have like at least 2 hours of makeup work to do to start the day. I mean, how grueling was this experience?
Well, it was my first time doing like prosthetics like that, or any kind of creature work. I don't remember about you, Jesse, and you certainly had done creature work.
I've done a lot of creature stuff.
He was kind of like the only one not complaining. Me and Jesse were like, fuck. It was really hard.
Yeah. I mean, the suits were, it was all custom built suits with musculature and a bunch of fur, and they were probably, we should have weighed them so we could tell, like, it was probably like 30 or 40 pounds.
Before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was tough to get into, and then you've got this makeup, that goes over the faces.
Which was like extremely claustrophobic if you let it be.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you can't itch yourself. Like I had this one day where I had like a itchy attack, and I like from the morning till night, like I don't know if it was
like,
adhesive
on your
or if
head.
I was like the glue that day, but I just was so itchy, and you can't touch so it's kind of like if you sit and think about it,
Yeah, you go crazy.
you get claustrophobic because you're like stuck in this thing.
You can't touch because then you'd mess it up. So you just have to endure this itchiness all of a sudden. That's really
Being an actor is really hard.
This was a physical thing that like I've never experienced in my life.
No,
Like,
but to be honest,
I
it
used
was
to
really
fix
hard.
houses with my father. Like this was actually
Yeah.
the most physically excruciating
It
experience
was,
I've ever had in my
we're
life.
just, now this is our first interview where we're being really honest. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my
Yeah, the
life.
costumes were absolutely stunning and gorgeous, but
Yeah.
for them to be stunning and gorgeous, it meant that like fit had to be very tight, and it meant that your face was restricted by hair and all sorts of glue. So it was like it was physically. This is my physical memory of the project. The amount of just physical exertion, and then trying to act, and the script is super funny, so you want to honor that.
Yeah.
And yet you take a step and you're kind
Out
of
of breath, like we would take 3 steps, and then the crew would be like, "Here's the Gatorade."
Exactly.
And we were like, "Ah."
Exactly.
They're also really extremely physical performances too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people are doing creature work, they're not as mobile as they are in this, and they're having to run through the woods and climb and swim and do everything.
Yeah.
So
I've worn a lot of costumes and a lot of prosthetics and stuff like that, and I would say that this was the most challenging. I think it was the most challenging just because it was so restricting with the suit being so tight and the itchiness, but then also getting the performance of a real being.
So what does a Sasquatch want in life?
Can we do 20 more minutes on the costumes?
I know. we had a lot to
got a lot of
unpack
I just
here.
remembered.
Yes, group therapy.
What was the question?
What does a Sasquatch want in life?
I think that would be different depending on the Sasquatch.
Oh.
just like people.
Yeah.
True. Very good point. Well, this has been so fantastic. David and Nathan, I just have to ask you, we're living in the wake of The Curse now, and of which you directed some extraordinary episodes. What do you hope people will take away from those episodes that you directed?
I don't.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't-
Feeling, perhaps.
Oh,
that people will
yeah.
take
I don't
away.
know. Yeah.
A feeling is good.
A feeling, yeah. Whatever they feel, as long as they feel something. I mean, the worst response to anything is indifference. So whether it's a strong feeling one way or the other, that's what matters most.